This will be the 12th stream of FPS Land, and we are nearing the end. It is coming soon. Last stream I intended to handle respawning, but I got caught up in so many other things I wasn't able to actually get to it. But this time we should be able to. I have in spawn points, I got the respawn code in. This is stuff I all did between last stream and this one. And I have a lot of other things set up to handle that. So one thing I like to do, and I mentioned this in some of my videos, is instead of using the character as the player prefab. So for example, if I go to Network Manager and under player prefab here, I don't actually have my character. I have what's called a client instance, and this is a container that holds a few scripts that I'll be using by the client. So like for example, the player spawner is one of the scripts on this instance, which will be in charge of spawning my main character. I also got a few other things done. I made it so basically I can reuse the same character over and over again, rather than respawning the character when they lose their health. So as you can see, I got my guy over here. If I just go over here, I press K, and you can see that he just kind of falls down using a ragdoll system. You can see he's going into T-pose. That's because you don't have the third-party object enabled as first person, but the spectator should see him falling into ragdoll from normal pose. And when this is all hooked up, what will happen is whenever you do lose all your health, the camera will kind of pan down to your body, and that's already done. I just need to hook that back up. Part of what I did also when going through this system is I broke the camera. Before it would show the first person arms whenever you start up, but now it doesn't. So I have to first do that real quick, and then respawning should be back on track once I set that up. So first things first, let me go ahead and do that. I need to go to my client instance and add a local player announcer. If you've seen my video initializing on local player, this basically tells my objects in the scene whenever the local player spawns. And you can add this to pretty much anything, but the power from this comes by subscribing to this one script here without needing a reference to it. So you can easily set up canvases, for example, or cameras whenever your player spawns. And that's something else you can get on my Patreon. So speaking of which, not going to link my Patreon, but if you want to join my Discord, there are other links on there. And here's my Discord link. Feel free to join me and ask questions if you like. And without further delay, I am going to go ahead and get this back on track so we can get going here. Now what I need to do is I need to go to my player spawner and add a new static event. And I'm going to basically, in a way, copy the local player announcer, which you just go over to that. I'm going to take this. And this will be responsible for announcing when the player is updated. This isn't the player prefab. This is the character spawned for the particular client. Dispatched when the character is updated. Okay, I don't actually need this to be static. I do want it to be public though. And on this right here, whenever it starts up as a local player, it tries to spawn the character right away. I need to rework this so if the character is already spawned, it won't just instantiate a new character every time. I'll worry about that later. That's going to be part of wrapping up the respawning. Right now, I want to get the camera set back up. So what I need to do is actually do private void target RPC, and I am going to do network identity character. And what this is going to do is the server is going to send a target RPC when the character is updated, and this will go to the owner. That way the camera can reinitialize and all that good stuff. So let's go down here and do network identity net ID equals r that get component network identity, and then I'm going to do target RPC, and I'm just going to pass in the net ID. And by default, if you don't pass any parameters into this, it sends it to the owner. But just for the sake of clarity, I'm going to do base.connection to client. I wonder if, oh, you have to actually put that in here as well. There we go. Well, I'm sorry, Steven. Most of it was just me catching people up on what I did between the last stream and the current, and right now I'm fixing the camera that I broke previously. So you didn't miss a whole lot. I'm actually going to remove this, but just keep in mind this is an option. This is something I also cover in my remote calls video. But if you don't send a network connection, it just automatically sends it to the owning player. So now what I need to do is when I receive this target RPC, I'm going to call onCharacterUpdated with that object. And I just want to make sure that's not null equals character equals null, in which case if character does equal null, then player object also equals null. Otherwise, player object equals character.gameObject. I don't really have a preference. It really depends on what you're designing your game to be. Photon's easier to get up and running for sure, but if you need any kind of fast-paced, gameplay or server authoritative, you're gonna have to go with Mirror or some other server authoritative solution. All right, so let's see if this works. All right, so right away I see that this should be, it's actually not going to have a reference to this because this is on start local player, so I can't just have my camera listen to this event right away because the reference to player spawner isn't set until the client instance is actually spawned. So I need to look into that. I think what I'm going to do is to make sure that I'm not facing a raise condition, is that I'm going to go to my script execution order down here. I'm going to add the local player announcer, and I'm just going to drop it like at the very end. That way it executes last, because I want other things using local player to initialize first. Now I need to go to my FPS camera, wherever I put that. Here we go. And instead of listening to the local player announcer, actually I do need to listen to the local player announcer. And then I need to get rid of all this code because this isn't being used yet. Then I need to use, let's see, client instance CI equals object.getComponent client instance. I need to make sure the object's not null. So basically what I'm doing is when my local player or the client instance is updated, I'm going to get the script reference of that, and then I'm going to listen to other scripts on it. In this case, this is the camera, which needs to be aware of when the player spawns, so I'm going to listen to the player script. So now I'm going to do ci dot player spawner dot on character updated and add a listener to that. I don't actually have to remove my listeners, because if by any chance the local player is destroyed, the listeners will go with it, so I don't have to worry about that right now. Now I'm going to move this code over to here. All right. Receive when the character is spawned, or is updated, I should say. When the client character is updated. All right. This should work. Let me just double check my code, or my setup here. Going to my prefabs, client instance. All right, let's see what happens. All right, we did it. So we have my camera back online. Awesome. Yeah, so now this is what it looks like if I were to die. I think I'll probably add some forces too, but right now this is what it looks like. Oh, that is not a good pose to have, buddy. It is very inappropriate. All right, but it does seem to be working. Great. And you notice too, whenever, actually I don't have the respawn code hooked up yet, so I need to do that. What I need to do with the player spawner is I need to know when the player goes down. So whenever the player is spawned, or whenever I get the target RPC saying that the character is updated, I need to listen to the health script to know that when it is now, when all the health is gone. And we're going to add some comments real quick though. All right, so when the server tells me that my character is respawned, then it's going to send me the character, and I'm going to get the health script from it, and then I'm going to add a listener for when my health is depleted. And when that happens, I will then try to respawn again. I'm going to set up like a delay and a canvas and all that stuff, but right now I just need to get this working. So let's go ahead and call try respawn. Received when the character's health is depleted. All right, now I need a way to know if the character's already spawned, because we're not actually destroying the character on the server, although I could, but it would obviously be more efficient if I recycled the character. So what I need to do is track the character. To do that, I'm just going to do, first I'm going to organize my code a tiny little bit here. And it should be the last step to getting it to respawn. What script do I want to get a reference of? I guess I'll just get the network identity. I might be changing that later, but I hope this is making sense. I know this is a little complex. All right, so this is actually right here, this code I didn't discuss. I have a spawn manager, which will call return spawn points. And whenever what that does is it shuffles all the spawn points and it goes in order from 0 to the end of the array, but it's now shuffled. And if that spawn point's active, it will make sure that there's no other players in the area. And if so, then it will return that as a valid spawn point. And that's all that code's doing there. Back to where I was just a second ago. I have a little area that says all spawns occupied. That's going to pop something up on the canvas, basically saying that we'll retry again later. This shouldn't really happen like ever, but it's just there just in case. All right, so now I'm going to do if spawned character equals null. This is where we will spawn a new character. If the character is not spawned yet, character is already spawned, so an else statement here. And I'm going to just take this, put it right there. Actually, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to just go to the target RPC and do spawned character, and then I'll just do spawned character equals. There we go. Okay. Characters are respawned, so all I have to actually do is just restore the health on the character. I just need to make sure everything's right. All right, so here we have an issue. I have this set up to add a listener to the health whenever I receive the target RPC, but I don't know why I typed target RPC as the method name. I just woke up like a few minutes ago, like right before the stream, so sorry. We'll make two separate methods for the sake of making this easier without having to add complexity to the code. So private void character spawned, and this will be called if the character is spawned, and then we'll have one called character respawned, and this will be when the character has respawned. So received when the server has spawned the character, received when the server has respawned the character. So I know if the character is respawned, I don't need to listen to the health script again. And the character is not being updated again, so I don't need that. So I don't actually need any of this, really, do I? I might not even need this, to be honest. I'm just going to comment this out real quick, and I'm going to drop this under here. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do spawned character dot res. Got to get the health script actually. So it's not a public method yet. What I was going to do is I was going to restore the health, and that should send a target RPC telling everything that the health has been restored. I just want to make sure. So I send the command to restore the health, and that does send the RPCs. But this is all test code, so it's not actually finalized yet. So I really need to double check all this here. I'm going to make this one I need to make a new method that's only for the server. That way only the server can restore health, because I don't want the clients to be able to somehow trick my game into doing that. So let me just add it down here, I suppose. Maybe right here. And I want this to only be on the server. So this would be an appropriate time of this attribute right here. And what that will do is basically do this right here. Let's see if that works. What should happen is whenever I hit my K key, which is what triggers the health lost and the ragdoll, it should immediately respawn me. Assuming it wants to load. Okay. Character spawn must start with target. Did I forget to add the target keyword? I did. Like I said, I'm sorry. I just got up. I'm kind of still not awake yet. I'm getting there. I need to fix that too. Okay, it's thinking about it. Here we go. All right, I spawned in the house. I need to see what this is about too, these scripts that are missing. But it spawned in the house, so I'm gonna hit K, respawn me in a house. So I think what's going on is it is passing in the respawn, but it's not moving my character, which makes sense because I didn't add the code to move my character. It's definitely triggering the code though. That's a good thing. It means everything should be working. I just have to move my character first. So let me do spawn character.transform.position equals spawn.position, and I'm just going to take this right here. Spawn character.transform.rotation equals, and basically I'm taking the data from the spawn point and setting that to my character transform, and let's try it again. All right, so it's working. You can tell it's kind of bouncing me around. It's because I am not using a teleport. So I need to do that of some way. That should be really easy to do. Let's see. I might actually need this method after all. This should never happen either. The spawn character going null for this particular player spawner / client instance. I'm just doing it just in case. All right, so now I just need to do spawn character dot transform dot position equals position, spawn character dot transform dot rotation equals rotation. Now let's get rid of this. And let's go back. I probably got to add my, no I did not. See, I can learn. Okay, so now I'm going to go back here and I'm going to call target character respawn, passing in the spawn position. Actually, I'm just going to do the transform position and rotation. All right. I don't know if that's going to teleport the camera still, because the camera has it's designed to move smoothly. I might need to add some kind of way to snap it into place if it's too far behind. Yeah. So it's the camera's still trying to move smoothly, and also I think it's choosing the same spawn points, which makes me wonder if the overlap is actually working. You know what? The overlap is working. The reason it's trying to use the same spawn point twice is because whenever your player loses their health, the layers change on it, and it's no longer on the player layer. So that actually is working. I did test it earlier off camera, and I remember it working. I was just trying to figure out why it wasn't working in the stream, but it is. So carrying on, I need to somehow make the camera teleport if it is too far of a distance. So let's do serialized field private, private float teleport distance. We'll say if the camera is more than 2 meters off, then it will go ahead and teleport. Or I could just be smart about this and be like, go to my player spawner, on character updated, and then make another event. On character respawn. And now, whenever I get this particular RPC, I can also invoke the event I just made. And now, if I go back to my FPS camera, I go down to this where the character is updated. I'm also going to add a listener. Sorry, actually I'll do it here. I'll just say that player spawner dot on character respawn plus equals, and received when the client character is respawned. And all I'm going to do is just immediately set the rotation. And I have other code that I do that somewhere. Here we go. Let's see if that works. I think it will. All right, going to press K. Well, that clearly didn't work, so I messed up somewhere. Question is it getting the event? I've been getting a lot of questions, by the way, about when this is going to be released. Is the source going to be public? Are the streams going to go private? Things of that nature. So I want to get this to, it's a new bug. I need to fix that, I suppose. I want to get this released soon. My goal was 2 weeks, and that was like a week and a half ago, maybe. I want to hit it within a week. I don't know if that's possible, but I'm definitely going to try. It is getting the event. As far as the source code, like everything else, the source code will be available to Patrons. The streams are not going anywhere, but you can obviously watch the development in the streams, but you're not going to be able to get the code from the streams. All right, so I'm trying to figure out why this is not working. It's getting the event. It's being called after it snaps the transform position and rotate. Ah, I know why it's not working. It's because my looking script for my character doesn't update until the next frame. So the look position of the camera and the rotation of it is determined from my looking script on the character. And since that doesn't update next frame, it's using the old values instead of the new values. So it's snapping to the old values, which is basically right where it started. With that said, I think I'm going to go with my initial approach and just add a teleport if the camera's too far away. That's more universal and it should work. This should only ever happen when the player itself teleports. The camera is never this far away. Okay, so I'm just going to do a quick thing here. I'm going to do if what camera direction are you referring to? So this is a pretty easy solution. If distance is greater than teleport distance, then set the position, otherwise move towards it. Let's see if it works. Okay, perfect. Not sure why you're seeing those kind of fly by when the same position is used. That's kind of weird. Let me just take a quick look at my camera. It seems to only do it on the logs too, doesn't it? Oh no, it does for other things too. I have no idea why it's doing that. I'm not too concerned about it though. It's just a very, very minor cosmetic thing. Otherwise, it's working fine. I do, however, need to figure out why I can pass through trees. I know they have colliders, so I most likely added the wrong layer to these trees. So I'm going to check that out super quick. Okay, default bullet pass through. This is a special layer I made so that bullets can pass through the trees, but the players cannot. And I'm not sure if I'm going to keep that a thing. I originally made it so that like if a player is kind of like in this little area, sorry, if they're in this like little area here and you can see them, so that you can shoot through the trees and hit them. The reason because as you can see, the collider is around the entire tree, but if a bolt was to actually stop on a tree, it'd probably only stop in the trunk. And I don't really want to go into the details of adding, you know, that many colliders and whatnot and setting up, because that'd take a lot longer. So for now, I'm just going to fix the pass-through super quick. I'm looking for my character, which collides with default and character, and I need them to collide with default bullet pass-through as well. So I just take that right there. I gotta run all the way over there. No, stop putting me in a house. There we go. Running to the trees, running to the trees. Okay, I can't go through the trees anymore. Perfect. Respawning works. It's in. Right now it's an automatic process, so I need to set up a canvas for that, which is the next part of this video, is setting up canvases. Okay, sorry, I was playing with the guns. Let me do a backup. Making some backups over off screen. Spawning and respawning now works, and I also fixed character not colliding with trees bullet pass through layer. Okay, and commit and push. All right. Okay, so let's get some canvases in. The first thing I need to do is a respawn canvas. That's a matter at hand, so my character just doesn't snap into spots. That's going to be easy enough. What canvas is this? This is my demo text, I think. You know, I don't really need that anymore, but I'll just hide it just in case. I also have this cool canvas. I'm just going to show you real quick. I was using this for testing my movement, where it like shows my keys as I'm holding them down. It's pretty nifty. I was using it to debug and stuff. Anyway, I don't need that active too. So now let's go ahead and make new canvases. I need a new script, I suppose. Going to call it gameplay. Nope, I'm not going to. Yes, I am. I'm going to call it gameplay canvases. Make a new object. Once it compiles that script, there we go. Gameplay canvases. Drop that sucker right on there. And I'm going to open up my offline gameplay dependencies, where I will serialize this. Public static gameplay canvases, gameplay canvases. Basically, the offline gameplay dependencies is a singleton that exists within gameplay scenes only. And it will be used for a number of mechanics. I've tried a lot of different things between setting up like scenes and singletons and DI and things like that, but I've always found using a global singleton for things that are always loaded, and using like a gameplay singleton or like a roam singleton or something, you know, unique for certain scenes work best. All right, see you later. Enjoy your food. Oh, I need a canvas. I'm going to actually make a new folder. I'm going to call it gameplay canvases. Drop that in there. Go and make a new one as. Come on, there we go. Spawn manager. Drop that in there. I'm going to go into my gameplay canvases, where I will make a new script and I will call it respawn canvas. I need to set up some namespaces as well. I don't actually need to add that. Being slightly lazy with the tooltips. All right. So what I need to do is I need to have this canvas interact with my player spawner script, which is on my client instance. That's not terribly hard to do. What I got to set up here is going to take the code from my FPS camera, go to my respawn canvas, and a reference to this real quick. And I'm going to do do I want to access this player spawner directly or not? Probably. Yeah, I mean, I try to add them just to stay organized, and it's not really a big deal for if the project's for yourself. I don't really think they have much use there. I think the summary code is enough. But whenever I see assets that don't have tooltips, it drives me up the wall. There's so many public assets that don't have tooltips, and it's annoying to have to go through the source code just to try and figure out what things are. But yeah, that's kind of why I add them out of habit. I just need to check something. Okay. Now I have a reference to my player spawner. I'm not really using it right now, but I have a reference to it for when my character is no longer live. With that said, I probably need to hook into the health of the character. So I'm going to do and I just used this code somewhere else. Was it in my... I want to say it was there, but I'm not sure. So let's see, object, if object doesn't equal null, I'll just do if object equals null, then return. So you can see I use a lot of event-driven stuff. I think it's a great way to communicate between scripts without having to monitor things and like update, because one, update does eat FPS after a while. If you have enough updates running, it will most definitely start to eat away at your frame rate. Whereas events, it does do it, but it takes significantly more events than it does updates. So it's a much more optimized approach, and it's kind of better in a way, because I know as soon as this calls, the health is gone, and like I don't have to check every single time. But with that rant over, what I need to do is actually show this when the health is depleted, and I don't have anything to show right now. So let me go over to my gameplay canvases. Going to make a new canvas. It's going to be respawn canvas. Overlay is fine. I like to scale with screen size. I like to target 1920 by 1080 and scale halfway down the middle. I know there's a number of ways to do this. Do it however you like. And with this, I want to add my canvas fader script, which I do not have currently. Okay, so I have this canvas fader script, which I don't have on here at the moment, which fades a canvas in and out. So right now I'm just going to use a plain old canvas group. And canvas visibility, oh, I don't have that either. I have another script that sets the canvas visibility on awake. You can have it set to enabled or disabled, so that way you can have all your canvases up during design time, but they hide automatically at runtime. Also, another benefit to it is if I am using wake methods to initialize my canvases, I can keep the canvas visible like this. Like for example, let me just add a raw image, and let's say I have this really big ugly canvas sticking over my screen, but I need to keep this enabled so that it can initialize on awake. Well, I could just turn the canvas group to 0, and voila, it's enabled, so it will still activate and set up, but you can't see it, it's not in the way. So yeah, I wanted a fader on here. I don't think that's going to be doable during this video because I don't know where those scripts are. I have them across a variety of projects. We'll just call this background. Then I'm going to make a new button. I'm going to call it respawn button. Oops, wrong thing. And hit 2D. I need to scale this. It's definitely way too small. I'm not using Text Mesh Pro either. What is wrong with me? I need to use Text Mesh Pro. Let's see, black text, centered, and I'm going to add a little bit of padding, probably 32 on all sides. Okay, auto size, that's fine. The button's not going to really do much other than testing right now. I will certainly organize it at a later time. Going to drop it down over here in the bottom right. Move it off a little bit. There we go. All right, so now I can hide that. Let's go look at that error and see what I'm getting over there. Nothing spectacular, just got to add the reference. All right, so I need to get the canvas group on this object on awake. This is what I was just saying, how sometimes you might need to initialize canvases on awake. I'll actually be switching this out from in favor of my canvas faders whenever I complete this. Or whenever I drop them in, rather. Alpha equals 0f. I feel like I have helpers for this. Yeah, it's right there. Okay. Great. So I have some utility scripts already added. I'm just missing my canvas fader, which is just like a fade in and out, so whatever. Don't necessarily need those fancy effects, but I'll drop them in there later. So on health depleted, canvas group dot set active true. Okay. And I can actually just canvas group dot set active false. Oh, false true. There we go. And I definitely need this to do I want this to show up when the player first joins, or do I just want to spawn them in randomly? I think I'll just spawn them in randomly to start, and I'll worry about cleaning it up later. And I just want to look over my code. Okay, so I need to do a player spawner.on character respawn, and when they are respawned, I need to hide this canvas. I think that'll do it. Probably missing something, but let's find out. Oh, I am missing something entirely. I need to go over to my player spawner, and I need to take this code out. And I don't actually need to know when the health is depleted anymore under the player spawner per se. And I already have that as a public method. So let me go back to here. I need to make it so that when you click that button, something happens. So let's do public void on click respawn. And I need to add some kind of timeout to this so they can't spam the button, or at least wait until the server replies. So I'm going to add a to-do. All right, I already have a reference to the player spawner, so I'm just going to call .try respawn on it. And I think now, once I link up that button, I think now we're okay. I don't have my respawn canvas script on here. Drop that at the top. On click respawn. Let's see what happens. All right, so it spawned in first time right away. That was expected. Now if I press my K key. So the text says ms for milliseconds. That's because I have some debug code in here that just finds the first text mesh component and puts the latency on it. That's because at that time I only had one component. So I need to clearly do something about that real quick. I want to say that's under the motor script. Where are you? I know you're under here. Okay. I actually don't want update way down here. I want it right after fixed update. And now I'm going to get rid of this text. And also I'm going to move this to its own method. All right, now, pretty good to do. All right, take 2. Will it work? Pressing K. Respawning. Awesome. It's working. So one thing I probably need to do is my mouse is locked right now. When I press K, it's still locked, so I can't actually get to the respawn button. That I need to take care of. I will do that. I guess I have to do it now because I can't get to it. So yeah, let me do that super quick. Right now I think the motor locks the mouse button because, or maybe it's the looking script. I'm not really sure what it is. Right now it's test code. I need to find that and take care of it real quick. If I just do the search for .lock state, I should be able to find it. All right, so it's under my jump code. I'm just going to get rid of it entirely for now. I have it in there because sometimes what I'll usually do is start a build or an instance, and I'll hit play, and then I'll want to go to a different window on my computer and hit play. And if I lock the cursor, it makes it really hard to do that. So I made it so that it only gets locked after I jump, because I also sometimes want to lock it for testing. But times are changing. Okay. Respawn. Very good. I need to do a build and test it out. And if successful, I think that will probably be it for today. I have to do a bit of cleaning up on the code. Buttons obviously really ugly. I need to revisit those to-dos and just a few other things in between, small stuff. And with a lot of that out of the way, I can probably hook up the health canvas and stuff now, which means adding some events to the health and other small things like that, but should be very quick. Let's see, server only. Going to this, client only. All right, moving. Let me run over to the tractor here. All right, I'm at the tractor. I don't like these animations like at all, but yeah, I don't really want to make animations either at the same time. I'll think about it. If I have maybe like a post-release thing where I can make better animations and drop them in. All right. Oh. So the ragdoll you can see right now is different from the server. That was a decision that we made in my Discord, even though last stream everyone's like, yeah, synchronize it. Well, we decided not to. I might put it in later. I don't know yet, but Okay, so here's some kind of bug. You can see my character is jittering. But it's stable here. But jittering here. Probably what happened is my character probably got stuck in the ground on the respawn. So what I may want to do is just respawn them slightly off the ground. Let me see if I can reproduce that. Yeah, 100% reproducible. Let me make it go to the build real quick and just see what's going on. Didn't mean to do that. I meant to click Show and Explore. Go to Builds. Start this one as a server. Let's see if that's what's happening. So yeah, the Y is bouncing around on my character. It might be because the respawn's in the ground, or it's actually like sitting right on the ground. Two things need to happen. One, I need to see if just moving the spawn point slowly off the ground fixes it. And if it does, that probably indicates that what I'm experiencing, sorry. And if that is the case, I obviously need to fix that because this might not be the only time that the player will get stuck in the ground. So let's, instead of snapping to the hit point, let's do plus new vector 3 0f 0.25f 0f. So we're going to drop them just slightly above the ground. All right, here we go. Client. Yep, not bouncing. Oh, it is again. Well, now I'm a little confused. I feel like it's still the same issue. It's just that it's not high enough off the ground. Either way, I need to fix it. That's not acceptable. Waiting for a build to finish. All right, server only on my other screen. So something being stuck in the ground is triggering it, but it's happening on other reasons too. And I'm not sure what. Like right here, it happens all the time in the house. I think what's going on is I'm spawning up here and the house is like pushing it down and it's falling into the ground. I don't really know what doesn't seem to be happening here, but it does on occasion. I'll have to look into it. Obviously something funky is going on, and that's going to be a priority, so I'll probably have to fix that before I do another stream, because we can't be having that. Even though it does fix itself when I jump, I need to find out what's going on with it before I continue further. All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up and call it a day. Thanks for watching, and as I mentioned before, if you have questions or if you just want to join my Discord and chit chat or whatever, you can click the link at the top of this chat. Thanks for watching.